Hey guys, working on our C10 leadership curriculum, talking about the core values of our organization, what makes a championship caliber player. And I want to talk about the value of composure with Jeff Suppan, who's a coach and instructor in our organization, longtime pitcher in the major leagues. So Jeff, let's talk about this word composure. So as that is a value, what comes to your mind initially when you hear that word or hear that value, composure, for a championship caliber player?
Well, it brings me back to growing up. And my sister played volleyball in college, and she took a lot of classes on the mental side of the game, if you will. And I remember she gave me, because I used to, as a little boy, smile when I throw a pitch and somebody would swing and miss, or I was being a little emotional. And she told me the 3 C's, and it was concentration, control, composure. Composure for me was always the bigger picture. Okay, so I really focused as a young player, young, 8 years old, 9 years old, as I grew up, high school, on my composure, because I wanted to be in control of it, and I didn't want to allow it to control me.
Right. And
composure has always been a key, because whether you're throwing good or you're not throwing so good, it's a big part of the game.
That's
and
awesome.
It makes you be able to be in control of your mind and how you think.
That's great. So a word that's kind of underneath composure, that probably goes into being able to have that composure when you're in the mode of competition, is preparation. Talk a lot about the preparation that you went through as a ball player, and just what it takes to kind of develop all that type of preparation in order to be composed in competition. Talk about just the value of preparation, what you saw work well for you as a player, just kind of that process of being well prepared.
Yes, it was talked about a lot, and for me and coming up through other organizations, the comment was that you need to be prepared, you need to have the preparation. And I didn't know how to do it. And I talked with other players on what they did, and I found that a lot of their preparation involved superstition.
Okay.
And then I spoke with somebody who told me what Nolan Ryan said: superstition is a weakness of the mind. Okay. And I just had I was trying to gather these thoughts, and there were so many great little comments and things that I learned along the way about preparation, until I started trying to prepare myself. And this is when I found out that I had a lot of thoughts in my brain, and I was unorganized, and it gave me some anxiety, some tension. I didn't know what I was supposed to think when I went out to the mound, and so there's uncertainty.
Right.
And so through learning how to prepare properly and learning how to prepare for myself, it controlled that. And so I basically started writing it down. And I took my best performances, and I noticed some similarities. And so I tried to prepare to be at my best. So on all my best performances, if I was pitch by pitch, if I was breathing, if I had an edge, if I was on time, if I was organized with how I viewed the hitters, all those things helped me have peace.
That's good.
When to go out to perform, because I wanted to know when I went out to perform, I have done everything in my power to be ready to go out and pitch, and that allowed me to accept the outcome, whatever, good or bad. I never really hung my hat on the end result so much as the preparation work. That's what I hung my hat on.
That's awesome. There's a lot. And I know from you telling some of your story, there's a lot that went into your preparation. A lot of work that you did after performance in order to reflect on it and capture what was great about it, how you were feeling, how you were experiencing it, in order to catalog that content, and in order to help you be able to prepare well the next time. Pretty extensive process, and we've talked about, hey, trust the process. A great thing that you've been saying as well, though, hey, you just need to start the process. So maybe a lot of these guys haven't maybe started the process, so to speak. talk about encouragement, or kind of just like getting the cart off the hill, get the wheels, like what does that look like, or talk about the importance of just starting the process. What are you kind of driving at when you say that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty, I don't know what the word would be, but broad statement. Okay, because you don't know where to go.
Right.
But you have to start it. So when I started, I was able to write a paragraph. A paragraph. What I was asked to do was write about my best performance. And I could remember the line, I could remember where it was at, but I couldn't tell you any other thoughts. And I think this is a common thing for a lot of players. I didn't have any thoughts. I was just in the zone.
Yeah.
And I don't believe that to be true. I believe that you had a lot of thoughts, but you controlled them, you simplified them, and there were only a few. That's why you don't remember it. And so by starting to write my best performance, I realized I couldn't. So I started writing about every performance. First it was a paragraph, 2 lines, 3 lines. And then I started saying to myself, okay, well, I need a plan. So what do I need to plan? So let's just say my strength conditioning. I need a plan for this. So I wrote down what it was, the title, and then I wrote down the 10 things I needed to do, and then I wrote down, that was Monday and Wednesday, and then I said, okay, well, what's another area? Well, I guess conditioning is another area, so I put conditioning, and I wrote the 10 things, my plan during the week that I was supposed to do. And I said, well, what's another area? Well, scouting's an area. So I put scouting, got detailed, and it built. It built up, So sometimes I had to erase one off there. Sometimes I had to add one. And then my bullpens, I needed to just define really how I rated my success and these wins in the bullpen, and I defined it. And that's where I really started thinking about, I started getting deeper. I mean, the other stuff was easy because somebody else had it for me, but in my bullpen, I realized I had to get more out of it, not necessarily the effort-wise or velocity or pitches, but there had to be something a little different. And that's where I started digging, starting the process. And so what I ended up doing was I made a checklist, and this took me years. I mean, this was not like in the very beginning, but that's how I started. That's how I started, was taking a specific area and writing about it, defining it. Because these words that we use, like the best, the greatest, well, how do you define that?
Right,
You know what I mean? And that's what I think the inquisitive side of myself, the over-analytical side of myself wants to know, because we could be talking about the same word, and you mean something and I mean something totally different.
And I love that, as far as having a personal definition of these things, so that you can experience satisfaction when you're successful in doing it. If you don't define it, then you don't ever know, did I do it? Did I achieve it? Or was I off the mark? But being a little bit more explicit, defining and clarifying these terms or these pursuits or these goals really help you in your pursuit of achieving them. So that's excellent. So thinking about composure as the value, which, when I think composure, I think something hasn't gone well, but you're still able to be consistent and stable. Like composure happens when the storm comes, but you're able to stay the course, eyes on the prize, know what you're doing, not overly affected or overly kind of swayed by maybe even great things or negative things as well. And thinking about preparation being a key critical thing to focus on in order to kind of have that composure. All right, so trust in the process. And you talked about just starting somewhere, even if it's starting small, but realizing you're moving, you're carrying momentum, it's going to grow. You went through a pretty big transition, you've talked about, in your career, from developing this process of preparation. Talk about some of the resistance that you had to face or overcome in order for you to start the process. Maybe anything personally for you that's like, hey, everybody has resistance. For me, these are the humps that I had to get over in order to start the process of preparation for me?
Right. Well, I think first, with the word, I viewed it as in the moment, being in the moment. If I took my best pitch in the moment, okay, I can't throw one better. So making little moments, that's how I view that word, composure, being in the moment. And being in the moment, whether it's spring training, extended spring training, if it's A-ball, AA, AAA, the big leagues, the World Series, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
I had to control those moments. So what would happen was the obstacles for me to achieve that were the negative thoughts. Okay, so my negative thoughts were much stronger than my positive thoughts. The doubt that I felt was stronger than the strength that I had. And so by writing about it, I was able to know what I needed to think about. So the obstacle to get to that point was my laziness. I didn't want to admit that I was insecure. I didn't want to admit that I had the fear. I didn't want to admit that I felt like my stuff wasn't good enough. I didn't want to admit that to myself.
Yeah.
But through writing, so I said, okay, you know what? I have to face these fears, and I wrote about them head on, and I was very honest.
Yeah.
Because I was talking to myself in a mirror. Like we always say, to have that visual, the man in the mirror.
Yeah.
Like you got to say this to yourself. Like that was the first time in my life, probably at, I don't know what age I was, 27, where I was like, okay, well, let's find out who Jeff Suppan is.
Right.
And then once I was able to own that, I wasn't fearful walking into a room in my own abilities. I wasn't always competing against anyone else. I was competing against myself now.
Right.
And those obstacles that I felt, the laziness, maybe the insecurity, and maybe, quite frankly, I didn't write that well, so I didn't want to write, so those little things.
Yeah.
But it actually gave me more confidence when I was able to confront them and to get over them. So it took a long time. What I thought about early in my career was this same thing I was dealing with at the end of my career.
Yeah.
So when my physical ability and my mental ability were on the same plane going upwards, it was pretty incredible. When I was younger, my physical was much stronger, my mental wasn't. As I had I don't know how many 8-year section where they were equal, and then my physical started going down and my mental started going up, and then my mental went down. So it was kind of like this whole thing, and it was new. It's new every year. It's not it's not like you're not going to have to deal with the same type of things, right? So when you're able to focus, get over the fears, to actually start, and then to be in the moment is when you're going to have your biggest gains.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if I just talked around in circles.
No, that was awesome. I mean, I hear a ton in that as far as, hey, there was some resistance there of just some humility.
Yeah.
You said there's two types of players. What are the two types?
Those who are humble and those who are about to be.
Those who are about to be. So you got two types of players, and those who are humbled realize the necessary nature of preparation and how much everything you do is going to lead to a spot where you can actually exhibit composure and stay in the moment, which is also critical as far as I'm in the here and now. I'm right here. That's where I need to be. I'm in the presence of mind and prepared for this moment, and I can have composure here.
Right.
And I've done a whole heck of a lot of work to prepare me for this moment.
Right.
So now I can trust that process of what I went through, and then keep moving and going on.
In that moment, there's 107 other moments.
Yeah.
In that one moment.
Right.
See, because of each pitch.
Right.
Or however many pitches you throw. So it's like people look at the game. Well, okay. Well, then you keep breaking it down, controlling those moments.
Yeah.
And I always pitch to win, but I always pitch to win. I learned how to pitch to win each moment.
Yeah.
That's why this pitch is the most important pitch in the world to me. I put all my energies into it, all my energy into it, and that's how I went about it. And when I was at that state, more often I had more success. There was quite a few games where I wasn't in that moment.
Sure.
But
yeah, that's awesome.
Sure.
Sue, thanks so much for
thank
talking
you.
with me. I appreciate it. Composure. Thanks, guys.